Mortal Kombat isn't just about brutal fights and iconic fatalities, it's a universe full of alternate endings where characters meet surprising, often shocking fates outside the main story. From apocalyptic battles wiping out entire realms, to what-if scenarios that rewrite destinies, these non-canonical deaths reveal a wild multiverse lurking beneath the surface. Let's kick things off by revisiting the very first game's unexpected endings and the explosive possibilities they unleashed. Mortal Kombat 1. The original Mortal Kombat's arcade endings aren't just simple you win messages, they're wild, contradictory snapshots of completely different timelines where anything can happen. Only Liu Kang's victory is officially canon, restoring peace to the Shaolin and winning the tournament. But Raiden's ending? It's next-level catastrophic. Bored by his mortal competition, he invites a horde of other gods to join the fray on Earthrealm. The resulting clashes between deities rage on for years, and the wars end with our world's total destruction. An apocalypse so absolute, it instantly negates every other possible outcome. Before you dismiss this as just old-school arcade flair, hear me out. This isn't some small-scale final boss defeat. Raiden literally drags the entire pantheon into a war that levels Earthrealm itself, which is staggeringly ambitious for a 1992 fighting game. These endings set up the first glimpses of a Mortal Kombat multiverse. Multiple, incompatible realities where heroes and villains can die or win in countless ways, but only one thread actually shapes the main story. Other non-canon snapshots in MK1's endings include Kano triggering an oil drum explosion to slip past Sonya's unit and escape justice entirely, or Sub-Zero abandoning the Lin Kuei altogether after collecting his bounty for assassinating Shang Tsung, retiring from the assassin's life for good. Each arcade ending is its own what-if branch tossed aside once the sequel rolls around. So while we nostalgically remember those text-based epilogues, what they really represent is an early experiment with branching futures and discarded timelines. A simple arcade ladder was already building the DNA of Mortal Kombat's sprawling multiverse. Decades before that became a full-blown narrative obsession. Next up, Mortal Kombat 2 takes this chaos and cranks it way higher. Mortal Kombat 2 took everything from the originals and turned it way up, especially the wild non-canon endings where death isn't just likely, it's guaranteed. The cast expanded, and with Shao Kahn's invasion looming, the arcade endings served some of the most apocalyptic and bizarre kill scenes in the series. Take Johnny Cage's ending. After somehow defeating Shao Kahn and stopping the Outworld invasion alone, Cage doesn't just quit. Nope, he turns his victory into a Hollywood blockbuster about the whole thing. Johnny Cage kills the Emperor, saves Earthrealm, and stars in the movie adaptation, all while making the hero narrative a meta-comedy of self-promotion. It's basically the ultimate MK flex wrapped in 90s satire. Then there's Raiden's ending, which is the direct opposite. After winning, he doesn't stop at simply beating Shao Kahn. He wipes out the Emperor and every single one of his minions in one decisive strike, annihilating Outworld's entire invasion force in a single ending. No celebration tour, no victory lap, just total, merciless destruction of the threat. Brutal efficiency, right next to Cage's cheeky bravado. What's nuts is how Shao Kahn and others die repeatedly, each time differently. 1 second Kahn's dead by Cage's hands, next he's annihilated by Raiden along with his whole invading force, elsewhere killed by others. That gave birth to the mantra, nobody truly dies in Mortal Kombat. These endings aren't about canon, they're playgrounds where narrative rules get tossed. Tonally, MK2's endings cover everything, from Cage's amusing romp to Raiden's no-nonsense annihilation, building a tradition of wildly varied, non-canonical outcomes that flex the series' storytelling. It's like the developers filtered their ideas through a cosmic blender and let players pick their favorite bizarre timeline. If this feels chaotic, wait, a lot more multiverse madness arrives in Mortal Kombat 3. Johnny Cage's arcade ending in Mortal Kombat 3 delivers one of the most emotionally layered, non-canonical deaths in the series. Officially, Johnny dies off-screen before Shao Kahn's invasion, impaled by Mataro's spear, a brutal fate that sticks in the lore. But the MK3 arcade ending imagines something else entirely. Johnny's spirit lingers to rally the heroes in their final battle against Kahn. He's not just a ghost, he's the ultimate team captain boosting his allies to victory. Once the realms separate and Kahn is defeated, Cage's soul finally ascends, dying a second time with genuine heroism and bittersweet finality. Fans remember this powerful scene vividly, even though later games retcon it out of canon and credit Mataro with Johnny's death instead. That mix of official story and fan memory leaves Cage's fate tantalizingly ambiguous, inviting players to hold on to both versions. Meanwhile, MK3's many alternate endings pile on different deaths for Shao Kahn, creating a chaotic ledger of what-ifs. Nightwolf uses his shamanic powers to reflect Khan's dark energy back at him, killing the Emperor and restoring balance. Shiva, the proud Shokan warrior, throws down Mataro in battle, then slays Khan herself, betraying the Emperor in fury. Scorpion switches sides mid-conflict, kills Khan, then returns to the Netherrealm. Every ending hands Khan's fate to a different champion, completely rewriting the power dynamics. None are canon, but each carries its own emotional punch. It's like picking your own legendary martyr to defeat the villain, which deepens the mystique around Khan's multiple deaths. These MK3 endings are more than just what could have happened. They were the first time Mortal Kombat really played with alternate character arcs, which future games would borrow from or quietly ignore. Johnny's heroic ghost act blends comedy, tragedy, and fan wish fulfillment all in one. But if that's a tangle of timelines, just wait until Mortal Kombat 4, where deaths get even more cinematic and contradictory. Mortal Kombat 4 was the series' first full dive into 3D, and with it came cinematic endings that looked epic, but didn't always stick to the story. Take Jarek's cliffside showdown with Sonya. The scene's practically legendary. He gets slapped off the edge after trying his usual Black Dragon sneakiness, and we're left with the strong impression that he's dead for good. Dramatic, right? Except later games quietly ignore Jarek's beautiful swan dive. Then there's Kano's supposed death, which Mortal Kombat 4 hints at pretty heavily. Officially, Sonya is credited with taking Kano out, delivering a satisfying conclusion to their rivalry, at least for a moment. But Mortal Kombat Deadly Alliance drops that entirely, with Kano returning without explanation. So that flashy MK4 demise? Just another example of the canon's fluid nature. Here's where it gets weird. Reptile, Sub-Zero, and Scorpion all have wildly different fates depending on which MK4 ending you watch. Reptile's betrayal and ambiguous doom, Sub-Zero's and Scorpion's ongoing feud, flipping between forgiveness and vicious payback, none of it ultimately aligns with the evolving official story. Later titles completely rewrite those arcs. The main takeaway is that MK4's endings are more cinematic experiments than firm lore statements. They're fun, memorable moments players could get excited about, but the narrative treats them as what-if snapshots rather than definitive history. It's like watching trailers for alternate universes where anyone can die or survive depending on the director's mood. This tension between eye-popping visuals and shifting narrative continuity became a hallmark of Mortal Kombat's storytelling at this stage. Players could revel in brutal cliff plunges or brutal beatdowns, only to find the story later saying, never happened. But if you think iconic cliffside deaths and retconned miracles are wild, wait until you hear about how Mortal Kombat Special Forces handles Jax. Mortal Kombat Special Forces is the odd one out in the series, a third-person action game focused on Jax taking on the Black Dragon clan, but officially it's completely outside main MK continuity. It's generally seen as non-canonical since its story, and characters don't line up with anything before or after. And honestly, that's probably for the best. Here's the thing, Special Forces doesn't give you flashy cinematic deaths for bosses or villains. Instead, most death scenes happen when the player fails, mess up the timing, take too long, or get overwhelmed, and you just get a game over screen showing Jax brutally taken out. No epic fatalities, no villain deaths, just a blunt end that almost feels like a punishment. Since Jax obviously survives in the main series, none of these deaths fit into the official story at all. Big bads like Kano don't die either. Their boss fights just send you back to the beginning, but make it clear they live on. The only permanently dead character here is Jax, whose failure means the Black Dragon wins, the plot stalls, and he's just wiped from this strange alternate timeline. Not exactly a twist in a series known for reviving characters endlessly. What's wild is how Special Forces blurs death as story with death as a gameplay reset. These deaths aren't moments of narrative, just signs you messed up. Reload and try again. And it's like none of it ever happened. Every Jax game over is basically a fake fatality. Because of that, Special Forces is barely mentioned in lore discussions. It's more a flopped side project than a real Mortal Kombat chapter. But it nails how death in MK is sometimes just about failing a level, not epic story stakes. If you think Jax's forgettable spin-off deaths are rough, wait until we dive into the dark and twisted world of Mortal Kombat. Deadly Alliance. Deadly Alliance marks the first time the franchise slaps a brutal, canonical death right at the start. Liu Kang's neck snapped by Shang Tsung sets a darker tone from the jump. It's not just a quick little arcade epilogue kill here. This is the grim baseline for the story. Suddenly, Mortal Kombat isn't just about winning a tournament, it's about survival in a world where heroes actually die. But wait, while that opening massacre is official, the game's multiple endings offer a buffet of non-canon what-ifs that flip the script wildly. Take Katana's ending, a fan favorite for years. Here, she finally gets to kill Shao Kahn, ending his oppressive reign and freeing both Edenia and Earthrealm. Sounds amazing, right? Except it's later flatly contradicted by the official storyline, where Kahn keeps breathing and scheming well beyond Deadly Alliance. Still, this ending gives players a satisfying justice-served moment, one that fuels endless fan speculation about alternate futures, where Katana reigns supreme. Meanwhile, other alternate endings shuffle survivors and rulers in wildly different ways. Some show the Deadly Alliance defeated outright, others imagine new power players rising from the ashes. These scenarios don't line up with the canonical timeline, but enrich the franchise by expanding narrative possibilities. They let fans explore what could have happened if the story had taken a darker or lighter path. Then, there's Blaze's bizarre ending, which teases his future official role despite being non-canon here. Emerging from imprisonment to guard a dragon egg, the story hints at the massive Armageddon events to come. It's a clever narrative seed planted inside a just-for-fun ending, blending faint hints of lore with pure alternate reality. Here's the thing. Deadly Alliance plays with two extremes simultaneously. The core story is bleak, full of permanent losses and crushing betrayals, but the game's non-canon endings offer moments of hope, revenge, or power fantasy, sometimes all at once. That contrast deepens Mortal Kombat's world, proving it can be dark and brutal while still letting fans imagine better outcomes. If you think Deadly Alliance complicates the lore, wait until we dive into Mortal Kombat. Deception, where undead warriors shuffle the line between life and death even further. Mortal Kombat. Deception dives deep into some of the darkest, most twisted branches of the Mortal Kombat multiverse, starting with undead Liu Kang's storyline, which is as haunting as it is complicated. Here, Liu Kang's spirit and his body exist separately, locked in a grim tug-of-war. His body becomes a puppet, wielded by unknown forces as a weapon against his own allies, while his soul fights desperately to protect what remains of his legacy. Some endings show his physical form finally destroyed, a somber conclusion to his undead torment. Others leave his fate ambiguous, suggesting the spirit lingers, trapped in an eternal struggle between life, death, and corruption. Then there's Sindel, who flips what we expect in her ending by taking on the Dragon King Onaga herself. Unlike the canonical storyline, where Onaga's defeat is more collaborative and indirect, Sindel's ending grants her a personal, decisive victory over the tyrant. In this non-canonical savior scenario, she destroys Onaga outright, reshaping the fate of Edenia and Earthrealm. It's a rare spotlight moment for her character, casting her as a powerful agent of change, even though later games discard this outcome and maintain Onaga's menace. Here's the thing. Deception doesn't shy away from exploring death and undeath as themes. It layers possession, corrupted heroism, and ambiguous endings that probe what it means to be alive, or truly dead, in the Mortal Kombat universe. These storylines feed into the darker atmosphere of the game and hint at the existential chaos brewing beneath the surface of the realms. Multiple endings in Deception align with alternate timelines, foreshadowing the franchise's future fascination with reboots and branching realities. The evidence quality here is strong, but complicated. The endings are vivid and cinematic, yet none receive full endorsement in subsequent titles, leaving us to theorize which fates count and which belong to parallel worlds best left unexplored. But if you think the dark twists in Deception are intense, wait until you see how Mortal Kombat: Shaolin Monks handles death with a heavy dose of slapstick and brutal game-over carnage. Mortal Kombat: Shaolin Monks is a spin-off retelling of Mortal Kombat 2 that throws canon out the window with a wild mix of slapstick and brutality. It's basically Liu Kang and Kung Lao's worst nightmare, but the game lets you watch them die in ridiculous ways again and again. And yes, these deaths can be reset, fail, watch the fatal blow, reload, and repeat. Before you think these are just brutal deaths for shock value, they actually work as meta jokes and failure states. The game uses death as a punchline, poking fun at the series' love of over-the-top fatalities without any story consequences. One moment Liu Kang is impaled by spikes, the next crushed by falling boulders, then torn apart by the living forest's twisted creatures. None of this affects the story because you just keep going like nothing happened. Here's the thing. Being free from continuity lets Shaolin Monks push Mortal Kombat's tradition of fatality excess in ways the main series won't. These deaths are exaggerations and parodies, a wink to fans who know how far the series goes with grisly kills. The game shows how lethal and absurd fatalities become when the weight of canon is lifted. Shaolin monks also set the stage for future non-canon death modes and challenge fatalities. Its success proved fans love imaginative death scenes that don't have to fit the story, paving the way for modes in later games where failure triggers unique fatal combos or elaborate death cinematics. It captures Mortal Kombat's range, serious tournaments one moment, gleefully cartoonish carnage the next, without muddying the lore. So yeah, Shaolin Monks is basically the franchise's favorite playground to slam a spike trap on Liu Kang's face, bounce him around like a pinball, then blow him up in a shower of gore so extra it feels like a love letter to fans who embrace the ridiculous. If you think non-canon deaths are meh, Shaolin Monks proves they can be a joyful, creative part of Mortal Kombat's identity. Next up, things get even crazier when Mortal Kombat crosses over with the DC Universe, where canonical rules are shattered and heroes and villains fall in ways you never saw coming. Mortal Kombat vs. DC Universe is where the franchise took a huge leap into the multiverse spotlight by crossing over with DC heroes and villains. But this isn't just a friendly fight club. It introduces Dark Khan, a horrifying fusion of Shao Kahn and Darkseid that threatens to annihilate both realms. Defeating Dark Khan is key to separating the two universes again, but here's the catch. Neither Shao Kahn nor Darkseid truly die. They survive as separate entities after this mashup villain is destroyed, so the death is never permanent. The character endings in this game go even further off the rails, depicting universe-shattering scenarios where heroes and villains kill or corrupt entire worlds, rewrite realities, or transform into otherworldly beings. These events don't appear anywhere in the mainline Mortal Kombat games, so they're considered strictly quarantined from canon. The reboot introduced in Mortal Kombat 9 and the complex DC multiverse lore mean MK vs. DCU sits in its own isolated branch of the multiverse, a sandbox for wild what-if stories. This crossover was one of the earliest times Mortal Kombat openly engaged with multiverse logic, mixing alternate realities and universe fusions in a way that fans had only previously glimpsed beneath the surface. It tapped into fans' growing fascination with branching timelines and cosmic stakes, setting the stage for the franchise's later, more explicit dives into multiversal storytelling in Mortal Kombat 11 and beyond. If you enjoyed this video and want to see more, click the video on the screen now.